As Lord Odysseus prayed there in the grove, the girl rode on, behind her strapping team, and came late to the mansion of her father, where she reigned in at the courtyard gate. Her brothers awaited her like tall gods in the court, circling to lead the mules away and carry the laundered things inside. But she withdrew to her own bedroom, where a fire soon shone, kindled by her old nurse, your Medusa. Years ago, from a raid on the continent, the rolling ships had brought this woman over to be Alcinous's share, fit spoil for him whose realm hung on his word as on a god's. And she had schooled the princess Nausicaa, whose fire she tended now, making her supper. Odysseus, when the time had passed, arose and turned into the city, but Athena poured a sea fog around him as he went to her love's expedient, that no jeering sailor should halt the man or challenge him for luck. Instead, he set foot in the pleasant city. The gray-eyed goddess came to him, in figure a small girl child, hugging a water jug. Confronted by her, Lord Odysseus asks, "Little one, could you take me to the house of that Alcinous, king among these people? You see, I am a poor old stranger here. My home is far away. Here there is no one known to me, in countryside or city." The gray-eyed goddess Athena replied to him, "Oh yes, good grand sir. I know you. I know. I'll show you to the house you mean. It is quite near my father's. But come now, hush, like this, and follow me. You must not stare at people, or be inquisitive. They do not care for strangers in this neighborhood. A foreign man will get no welcome here. The only thing they trust are the racing ships Poseidon gave to sail the deep blue sea, like white wings in the sky, or a flashing thought." Pallas Athena turned like the wind, running ahead of him, and he followed in her footsteps. And no seafaring men of Phycia perceived Odysseus passing through their town. The awesome one in pigtails barred their sights with folds of sacred mist. And yet Odysseus gazed out, marveling at the ships and harbors, public squares and ramparts towering up with pointed palisades along the top. When they were near the mansion of the king, gray-eyed Athena and the child cried out, "Here it is, grand sir, that mansion house you asked to see. You'll find our king and queen at supper, but you must not be dismayed. Go into them. A cheerful man does best in every enterprise, even a stranger. You'll see Our Lady just inside the hall. Her name is Arete. Her grandfather was our good King Alcinous's father, Nausithous by name, son of Poseidon and Periboia. That was a great beauty, the daughter of Eurymedon, commander of the Gigantes in the olden days, who led those wild things to their dome and his. Poseidon then made love to Periboia, and she bore Nausithous, Phycia's lord, whose sons in turn were Rhexenor and Alcinous. Rhexenor had no sons. Even as a bridegroom, he fell before the silver bow of Apollo. His only child, a daughter, Arete. When she grew up, Alcinous married her and holds her dear. No lady in the world, no other mistress of a man's household is honored as our mistress is, and loved by her own children, by Alcinous, and by the people. When she walks the town, they murmur and gaze, as though she were a goddess. No grace or wisdom fails in her. Indeed, just men in quarrels come to her for equity. Supposing, then, she looks upon you kindly, the chances are that you shall see your friends under your own roof, in your father's country. Okay, so basically what happened, Odysseus, he was praying in the garden, and then the other girls, they continued on. And then Athena, she transformed, and then Odysseus, he travels into the city, from Athena's garden after he prayed. And then Athena transformed into a little girl, and that little girl, or Athena, guided him to the castle. And basically what she said is, that mansion, you see, is for the king and queen. And Arete Arete was the person that gave birth, or the father of Alcinous. And then they just described the family tree. I don't know why this small child would do that. That's very strange and out of character. And I don't think Athena's a very good actor. She's very bad at this sort of stuff. And if she looks upon you kindly, then you shall see your friends back in your own country. At this, the gray-eyed goddess Athena left him, and left that comely land, going oversea to Marathon, to the wide roadways of Athens, and her retreat in the stronghold of Erytheus. Odysseus, now alone before the palace, meditated a long time before crossing the brazen threshold of the great courtyard. High rooms he saw ahead, airy and luminous, as though with lustres of the sun and moon. Bronze-paneled walls at several distances, making a vista, with an azure molding of lapis lazuli. The doors were golden guardians of the great room. Shining bronze plated the wide door sill. The posts and lintel were silver upon silver. Golden handles curved on the doors, and golden too. And silver were sculpted hounds flanking the entranceway, cast by the skill and ardor of Hephaestus to guard the Prince Alcinous's houses. Undying dogs that never could grow old. Through all the rooms, as far as he could see, tall chairs were placed around the walls and strewn with fine embroidered stuff made by the women. Here were enthroned the leaders of Phycia, drinking and dining with abundant fare. Here, too, were boys of gold on pedestals, holding aloft bright torches of pitch pine to light the great rooms, and the nighttime feasting. And 50 maids waiting of the household, sat by the round mill, grinding yellow corn, or wove upon their looms, or twirled their distaffs, flickering like the leaves of a poplar tree, while drops of oil glistened on linen weft. Skillful as were the men of Phycia in ship handling at sea, so were these women skilled at the loom, having this lovely craft and artistry as talents from Athena. Basically, what's going on there? So Athena, she left him, she went away, and then Odysseus went into the castle. It's like, oh, wow, this is a good castle. Surprising how a king would have a good castle. And he walks in, and he sees really great things, good statues, great building, and he sees some maids grinding corn and weaving, I think. Yes, weaving. And to the left and right outside, he saw an orchard closed by a pale, 4 spacious acres planted with trees in bloom, or weighted down for picking, pear trees, pomegranates, brilliant apples, luscious figs, and olives ripe and dark. Fruit never failed upon these trees. Winter and summertime they bore, for through the year the breathing west wind ripened all in turn. So one pear came to prime, and then another, and so with apples, figs, and the vine's fruit, empurpled with the royal vineyard there. Currants were dried at one end, on a platform bare to the sun. Beyond the vintage arbors and vats, the vintners trod. While near at hand were new grapes barely formed as the green bloom fell, or half-ripe clusters faintly coloring. After the vines came rows of vegetables, of all kinds that flourish in every season, and through the garden plots and orchard ran channels from one clear fountain, while another gushed through a pipe under the courtyard entrance, to serve the house and all who came for water. These were the gifts of heaven to Alcinous. Basically, the castle had orchards, and it had flowing water, and it was beautiful, and it had beautiful outdoors. And these were the gifts of the gods down to the king. Odysseus, who had borne the barren sea, stood in the gateway and surveyed this bounty. He gazed his fill, then swiftly he went in. The lords and nobles of Phycia were tipping wine to the wakeful god, to Hermes, a last libation before going to bed. But down the hall Odysseus went unseen, still in the cloud Athena cloaked him in, until he reached Arete and the king. He threw his hands around Aride's knees. he threw his great hands around Aride's knees, whereon the sacred mist curled back. They saw him, and the diners hushed amazed to see an unknown man inside the palace. Under their eyes, Odysseus made his plea. Arete, admirable Rhexenor's daughter, here is a man bruised by adversity, thrown upon your mercy, and the king, your husband's, begging indulgence of this company. May the gods' blessing rest on them. May life be kind to all. Let each one leave his children every good thing this realm confers upon him. But grant me passage to my fatherland. My home and friends lie far. My life is pain. He moved then toward the fire and sat him down amid the ashes. No one stirred or spoke until Achenius broke the spell, an old man, eldest of the Phaeacians, an oracle, versed in the laws and manners of old time. He rose among them now and spoke out kindly. Alcinous, this will not pass for courtesy. A guest abased in ashes at our hearth. Everyone here awaits your word. So come then, lift the man up, give him a seat of honor, a silver-studded chair. Then tell the stewards we'll have another wine bowl for libation to Zeus, Lord of the Lightning, advocate of honorable petitioners. And supper may be supplied our friend by the larder mistresses. Basically, what's going on? Odysseus, he's like, oh, please, give me some kindness. I've been through so much. I'm so tired. And he's just sitting on the ground, I think. And this one guy, who's Achenius, he's like, oh, why don't you help him up? Give him a chair. Treat him like royalty. Give him some aids. Do some work with him. Like very, very strange times in the Greek days where they just let people into your palace and they'd serve you. It's kind of weird. Alcinous, calm in power, heard him out, then took the great adventurer by the hand and led him from the fire. Nearest his throne, the son whom he loved best, Laodamas, had long held pace. Now the king bade him rise and gave his shining chair to Lord Odysseus. The serving maid poured water for his hands from a gold pitcher into a silver bowl, and spread a polished table at his side. The mistress of provisions came with bread and other victuals, generous with her store. So Lord Odysseus drank and tasted supper. Seeing this done, the king in majesty said to his squire, a fresh bowl, Pontonus. We make libation to the Lord of Lightning, who seconds honorable petitioners. So, they treat Lord Odysseus, and then they give him more wine, as they always do. Mixing the honey-hearted wine, Pontonus went on his rounds and poured fresh cups for all, whereof when all had split they drank their fill. Alcinous then spoke to the company. My lords and leaders of Phaeacia, hear now all that my heart would have me say. Our banquet's ended, so you may retire. But let our seniors gather in the morning to give this guest a festal day, and make fair offerings to the gods. In due course we shall put our minds upon the means at hand to take him safely, comfortably, well and happy, with speed to his own country, distant though it may lie. And may no trouble come to him here or in the way. His fate he shall pay out at home, even as the spinner spun for him on the day his mother bore him. If as may be he is some god come down from heaven's height, the gods are working strangely. Until now they have shown themselves in glory only after great hecatombs. Those figures banqueting at her side, throned like herself, or if some traveler met them when alone, they bore no least disguise. We are their king. Gigantes, Cyclopses, rank no nearer gods than we. Basically, he's like, I have an announcement to make. We gotta get this guy to his home as quickly as possible. We gotta get him there. The gods, we gotta respect the gods, pray to the gods. We're pretty powerful. We're up there. We have no power, we have no less power than the Cyclopses and the giants. So he's basically saying, Wow, that's great. We're doing good things. All right. Odysseus' wits were ready, and he replied. Oh, yeah, and then he also says that Odysseus may be a god, but, he's not. Odysseus' wits were ready, and he replied, Alcinous, you may set your mind at rest. Body and birth, a most unlikely god am I, being all of earth and mortal nature. I should say, rather, I am like those men who suffer the worst trials that you know, and miseries greater yet, as I might tell you. Hundreds, indeed, the gods can send no more. You will indulge me if I finish dinner. Grieved though I am to say it, there's no part of man more like a dog than brazen belly, crying to be remembered. And it must be, when we are mortal weary and sick at heart. And that is my condition. Yet my hunger drives me to take this food, and think no more of my afflictions. Belly must be... Belly must be filled. It's a stupid line. Belly must be filled. Sounds like a child. Sounds like a little baby. Belly must be filled. Be equally impelled, my lords, tomorrow to birth me on a ship and send me home. Rough years I've had. Now may I see one more my hall, my lands, my people before I die. Now all who heard cried out assent to this. The guest had spoken well. He must have passage. Then tipping wine they drank their thirst away, and one by one went homeward for the night. So Lord Odysseus kept his place alone with Eurydice and the king Alcinous beside him, while the maids went to and fro clearing away the wine cups and the tables. Presently the ivory-skinned lady turned to him, for she knew his cloak and tunic to be her own fine work, done with her maids. And arrowy came her words upon the air. Friend, I for one have certain questions for you. Who are you? And who has given you this clothing? Did you not say you wandered here by sea? So Odysseus is like, I've been through so much. I want to go back home before I die, man. What's going on? I want to see my friends and family before I die. They all sympathize with him, and then they all drink their problems away, and then everyone disperses until it's just like a couple people, and then one of the maids who was down by the river, who made him the tunic, she's like, she wanted to know more about this person, so she's like, so, who are you? What are you doing? And so the great tactician carefully replied, Majesty, what labor it would be to go through the whole story. All my years of misadventures, given by those on high. But this you ask about is quickly told. In mid-oceans lies Ogygia, the island haunt of Calypso, Atlas's guileful daughter, a lovely goddess, and a dangerous one. No one, no god or man, consorts with her, but supernatural power brought me here to be her solitary guest. For Zeus let fly with his bright bolt and split my ship, rolling me over in the wine-dark sea. There all my shipmates, friends were drowned, while I hung on the keelboard of the wreck, and drifted 9 full days. Then, in the dead of night, the gods brought me ashore upon Ogygia. Into her hands, the enchantress, in her beauty, fed and caressed me, promised me I should be immortal, youthful, all the days to come. But in my heart I never gave consent through 7 years detained. Immortal clothing I had from her, and kept it wet with tears. Then came the 8th year on the wheel of heaven, and word to her from Zeus, or a change of heart, so that she now commanded me to sail, sending me out to sea on a craft I made, with timber and tools of hers. She gave me stores, victuals, and wine, a cloakly divinely woven, and a warm land breeze come up astern. 17 days I sailed in the open water before I saw your country shore, a shadow upon the sea rim. Then my heart rejoiced. Pitiable as I am, for blows aplenty awaited me from the gods who shakes the earth. Cross gales he blew, making me lose my bearings, and heaved up seas beyond imagination, huge and foundering seas. All I could do was hold hard, groaning under every shock, until my craft broke up in the hurricane. I kept afloat and swam your sea, or drifted, taken by wind and current to this coast, where I went in on big swells running landward. But cliffs and rock shoals made that place forbidding, so I turned back, swimming offshore, and came in the end to a river, an auspicious water, with smooth beach and a rise that broke the wind. I lay there where I fell till strength returned. Then sacrifice night came on, and I went inland to high ground in a leaf bed in a thicket. Heaven sent slumber in an endless tide, submerging my sad heart among the leaves. Then night and next day's dawn and noon I slept. The sun went west, and then sweet sleep unbound me. When I became aware of the maids, your daughters, playing along the beach. The princess, too, most beautiful. I prayed her to assist me, and her good sense was perfect. One could only hope for no behavior like it from the young, thoughtless as they most often are. But she gave me a good friender and good red wine, a river bath, and finally this clothing. This is the bitter tale. These are the facts. She just recapped the entire book. She's just recapped exactly what they just did earlier in the book. Why did I read out an entire page or two of just recapping the story? Homer, what are you doing, man? Why would you just summarize the story later on in the same story? You don't understand. Okay. But in reply, Alcinous observed, Friend, my child's good judgment failed in this, not to have brought you in her company home. Once you approached her, you became her charge. To this Odysseus tactfully replied, Sir, as to that, you should not blame the princess. She did tell me to follow with her maids, but I would not. I felt abashed and feared the sight would somehow ruffle or offend you. All of us on this earth are plagued by jealousy. Ooh, no, I didn't want you to see me naked, because you'd be jealous. You'd be jealous. Oh, no, so, no, so he was like, I shouldn't be following this person, because that just caused more troubles. Like, I couldn't follow them into town. That's what he was saying. Alcinous' answer was a declaration. Friend, I am not a man for trivial anger. Better a sense of measure in everything. No anger here. I say that if it should please our father Zeus, Athena, and Apollo, seeing the man you are, seeing your thoughts are my own thoughts, my daughter should be yours, and you my son-in-law, if you remained. Oh my God. So he's saying he should marry his daughter. What an idiot. What an imbecile. Doesn't he know he has a beautiful wife waiting for him at home? A home, lands, riches you should have for me, if you could be contented here. If not, by Father Zeus, let none of our men hold you. On the contrary, I can assure you now of passage late tomorrow. While you sleep, my men will row you through the tranquil night, to your own land and home or where you please. It may be, even, far beyond Euboea, called most remote by seamen of our isle, who landed there, conveying Rhadamanthus, when he sent Tydeus, the son of Gaia. They put about, with neither pause nor rest, and entered their home port of the self-same day. But this you, too, will see, what ships I have, how my young oarsmen send the form scudding. Now Joyce welled up in the patient Lord Odysseus, who said devoutly in the warmest tones, O Father Zeus, let all this be fulfilled as spoken by Alcinous, Earth of harvest, remember him, return me to my homeland. In this manner they conversed with one another, but the great lady called her maids, and sent them to make a kingly bed, with purple rugs piled up, and sheets outspread, and fleecy coverlets, and an eastern colonnade. The girls went out with torches in their hands, swift at their work of bed-making. Returning, they whispered at the Lord Odysseus' shoulder, Sir, you may come. Your bed has been prepared. How welcome the word bed came to his ears. Now then, Odysseus laid him down, and slept in luxury under the porch of morning, while in his inner chamber Alcinous retired to rest where his dear consort lay. So basically what happened in this chapter, Odysseus, he was guided by Athena, disguised as a little child, into the castle, And then while he was in the castle, he was like, "Oh, it's pretty good in here." And then he went to Alcinous, and he's like, "Alcinous, please help me out, man. I just need some help." And then this one old man, I forgot his name, Urimis something EU at the beginning, and that person, he was like, why don't we serve him wine? Why don't we give him a good chair instead of him sitting on the floor? And then he was like, okay. And then they had a feast, and then Odysseus recapped the entire book. And then they were like, of course. And they said, okay, you can marry my daughter, or you could just go home. And then Odysseus is like, I'm just gonna go home. And the maids got all prepared for him, and he went to sleep. That was the chapter. That's all that happened, and it took 30 minutes to read through. 30 minutes.